Happy Wednesday. The sun is shining. It is a good day. Welcome back to Ask an Athlete Ambassador Live. My name is Lauren Lubin-April, Senior Director of Community Impact at the Women's Sports Foundation, and your host. Each week, I am talking to some of the greatest female athletes in the world and featuring some of our amazing WSF community partners to bring a little bit of fun, inspiration, and most importantly, sports back into our lives. Now, today's guest is pretty cool, very special guest. She's a professional stock car racer and model. Even at the age of only 20 years old, she has a decade of experience under her belt. Before transitioning to stock car racing, she became the most winning female in USAC history. She is fast on the track and generous in her heart, recently donating $10,000 to the Women's Sports Foundation to keep girls and women in sports and to help advance our mission. Joining to us live today is Toni Breidinger, and I'm going to get her right now. What up, Toni?
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. You make quarantine look way better than I do.
I just moved in here, so I'm still kind of organizing everything. That's what I've been doing all morning, just like unpacking. So now's my little break.
Where are you? Are you in one of the Carolinas, from what I remember?
Yes, so I'm in North Carolina. I'm pretty close to Charlotte.
Okay.
So yeah, I have a nice little apartment here with a roommate. So we're just trying to organize everything during this kind of downtime. So it kind of worked out.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Are you quarantining alone or with friends or others? So it sounds like you have you have some company right now.
Yes, I do. And my sister just came down from Indiana to kind of hang out with us and help us with the move. So I have a nice little group that I've been able to quarantine with.
Nice. Was that a professional move or more just I need to get myself in a place that feels safe and comfortable during this crazy time?
I mean, I'm in North Carolina for like professional reasons, just to be here because of racing. And then my photographer that I met with like through racing, we kind of like create content together. We're like, hey, like let's move in together so we can create content, and we also get along really well. My sister came out here for fun, so yeah.
That is always fun.
Yeah.
That's nice to have you sit. Well, thank you for joining us here today. And as I said just a few seconds ago, you're a recent WSF ambassador, and you came to us through we found out about it through an amazing and touching gesture from you. You donated $10,000 to the Women's Sports Foundation through Skims. Can you just talk a little bit about that for our viewers at home, because it was pretty amazing?
Yeah. So I got an amazing opportunity to work with Skims, and part of their campaign was to talk about my story as a female athlete and my journey through that. And I thought, your guys' foundation aligns with my story so well. So the opportunity to be able to donate that much money to you guys was really like a perfect fit for my story, and I was more than happy to do that. It was a really amazing opportunity.
Well, we're going to get into your story a little bit later, because I have some more hard-hitting questions for you.
Yeah.
Being a female racer in a male-dominated sport, I'm sure we could talk for an hour about that.
Yeah.
But before we even just get into that, I'm curious. I'm assuming the track is closed at this point. You probably haven't been able to train like you typically do. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I haven't raced since last year, because right when all of this started, my off season's during the winter, and then I was supposed to get started and the weekend of like my first races when everything got shut down. So yeah. I haven't raced in a while, so I'm like itching to get back. They're slowly starting to open things up out here, so I'm hopefully going to do my first race on the 23rd of this month. So
really, coming up?
Yes. So hopefully it kind of stays like that, but yeah.
Are there special precautions that they've been communicating with you and other racers as to how they're going to go about putting on that race just in today's time?
Yeah, I don't know like the specific details, but I know with like, if there's going to be like any testing leading up to that race, you have to be obviously keep it to like a certain amount of people on your team. And I don't know if they're going to let spectators come to that event. They haven't really said too much. I think they're still trying to work out everything, all the rules and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we'll kind of see, but I think they're going to be pretty cautious with spectators. I don't think there'll be any autograph sessions or anything like that, which I hate because I always love doing those.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but everybody's being super cautious, which I think is important right now.
Yeah, I was actually just listening to a really interesting webinar with some medical professionals on different sport governing bodies, including the Olympic Committee, just about different protocols that they're putting in place. And it's a very roller coaster time for the athletic world.
It is.
And
Yeah,
especially for athletes like you, training to start your sport and then to have it stopped, and now you're trying to get it up again a couple weeks later. So
exactly.
It's a bit of a roller coaster, and trying to navigate through safety and and the world is hurting right now. So it's a lot. That's why we're here today, is to talk through these things and provide some support. And I see a lot of people who are starting to join in. So I'm just going to pause to A, welcome viewers, B, just to let everybody know that there's going to be an opportunity to ask Toni questions live later. So if you have questions, get them in now. Our team at WSF is compiling them. And we will also be featuring questions from today's community partner feature, which we will talk about after. And to close this out, people who are viewing, we're going to do some sort of a fitness challenge, which is mostly me just falling on my face. So it's your fitness challenge. So that's what we're doing. So if you have questions, start getting in them now. We will talk about them later. But Toni, my first question to you really is, I was trying to keep track, how many races have you won? It's a lot at this point.
Yeah, so honestly, I haven't kept track of like my entire career-wise. I've done so many races. Yeah, so like people be like, how many races have you done? I'm like, honestly, like hundreds and hundreds of races if you're gonna like count like go-karts and everything like that. But when I really started counting the wins is when I moved up into cars and everything like that. And I have 19 wins in USAC, which is an open wheel series. It stands for United States Auto Club. So in that series, I have 19 wins. And yeah, so that's kind of within the 3 to 4 year span that I was doing those races.
I mean, that seems like a really fast rise and just start to moving up the ranks. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
For viewers at home who are more novice viewers to the racing world, can you just talk a little bit about that transition into stock car, but then also your journey to just even quickly rise to where you are right now?
Yeah, so with motorsports, there's so many different kind of paths and avenues. Like it's such like a big world. So there's always so many different, like everybody kind of has like a different path to get to where, like even like NASCAR drivers, everyone has a different path to get to that point. But mine was like, I basically started off in go-karts, and I did that for like probably like 7 or 8 years. And then when I was around 15 years old is when I moved up into cars, and I started in the Ford Focus Midget Series, which is part of USAC. And that's when I first started, getting wins and getting my oval track experience. And then from that is when I kind of got introduced to the stock car world. At like the races I went to, they'd have other classes, and one of those classes was stock cars, and I saw them, and I just fell in love. I was like, I want to do that. So as soon as I saw those, I was like, that's kind of the direction that I want to take my career in. So yeah, once I got started with that, I just, the wins are important. Just getting that seat time and experience, to be able to launch your resume, to be able to move up through the ranks is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And my next question, and it's honestly, it goes back to what I have to say, is I feel like you have to oftentimes pave your own way. You are so much of a trailblazer. What is, racing is billed predominantly as a male-dominated sport. So I'm actually, one of your quotes, and I have it pulled up here, I love this so much. You said, as soon as I put the helmet on, gender becomes irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like one of the biggest things that I feel like one of the questions like I get asked a lot is like, how do you feel about being a female in the sport? And it's almost hard for me to answer that because I don't look at myself as a female. I'm like, we're all drivers. Like the car doesn't know gender. So like, why would matter to anyone else. Like my car is not like, oh, this is a girl driving me right now. So I'm like, everyone's just a driver. So it's kind of always hard to answer that question just because I see myself as equal to everyone else. We're all just drivers. So gender is irrelevant.
I love that. And did you, I mean, being a role model is so important. And actually, at the Women's Sports Foundation, we've had an opportunity to work with a number of pioneers within the racing community, from Lynn St. James, who is a past president of ours, to Shay Holbrook, who is on our athlete advisory panel and a part of the W series, which was really exciting to watch this past year. But you're often having to pave the way for so many younger drivers to just see it, to believe it. Is that something that you set out to do? Or I know you fell in love with racing, but as you've gone up in the ranks, is that something like, you know what, I really want to serve as a role model for younger athletes?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I first started racing, I really didn't, honestly, like when I was younger, I didn't really notice like, hey, like I'm one of the only girls here. Maybe it was because my sister was racing too, but I really never saw myself as like, hey, this is kind of weird for a female to be doing, until I kind of got older and kind of realized it a little bit more. But I was like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I am the only girl racing. Sometimes there's a couple other girls, but still that's not a lot when you're against like 28 other drivers. So yeah, I definitely, like, now that I've gotten older and I can see that, you know, I am definitely in a male dominated sport, I do want to be a role model. And it's always just, I'll get like messages from young girls wanting to get into racing, and I'm like, wow, like there's so many girls out there that are interested, but they're nervous or they haven't seen a girl do it before. And I never realized like the impact that I was making until pretty recently, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would have to say, just even working with the Women's Sports Foundation too, knowing that you are having such an impact to so many girls and women who could be watching as well, I think it really helps you want, or really inspires you to want to elevate, right?
It does,
and show what can be done, and push. And you know what, I'm actually going to flip the script a little bit, because the next question I want to ask you actually comes from our featured community partner. So really quickly, today's featured community partner who is watching is Girls in the Game. And Girls in the Game is a organization where every girl finds her voice, discovers her strength, and leads with confidence through fun and active sport. And since 1995, Girls in the Game has empowered over 50,000 girls to become game changers. And so this question actually comes from Megan, who is their executive director. And her question is great because it's really in alignment with this. Was it hard for you to progress in the sport with so few role models? And do you see the changing at all in today's, do you see that changing at all in today's sport? So if there being more role models and a bigger pathway for girls and women?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest role model that I kind of looked up to growing up was Danica Patrick. I think she's the most well-known female driver. So I definitely looked up to her, and, you know, she started her career in IndyCar, and that's, like, when I was younger, that's really the only way that I saw myself going, was in that direction. And I think that was probably because, like, that's the only female that I really knew of was doing that kind of motorsport. And then I was like, you know, like, I want to go towards NASCAR, and obviously she did end up going towards NASCAR. But I do think it is important, you know, to have like those female role models. I think they definitely make a difference, for sure, to like kind of help you decide like what you want to do and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I'm curious as to, you've mentioned, you know, some of your professional goals, but what do you hope to change and accomplish maybe on the track or off the track throughout your career, knowing that you still have quite the career ahead of you?
Yeah, so definitely, like, now that, you know, I've been getting more involved with you guys, I definitely want to get more involved with helping other females, especially lately. I've been getting so many messages like, you know, how can I get started, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to like just start some kind of program or some kind of school or some kind of coaching to help females get into the sport, even just get knowledge to know how to get started, because so many girls ask me, they'll be like, you know, how do we even get started? I'm like, and to me, like, I just know, but, you know, there's so many people that, you know, they don't come from racing, they don't know motorsports, and it's totally unfamiliar territory. So I'd love to help educate people and just help them get started in it.
What would be your advice to somebody who wants to get started, who, you know, I could see this as a sport that could be difficult to gain access or entry into for whatever variety of reasons. So what would be your immediate advice to say if girls or anybody was interested in getting started?
Honestly, just to get started, like there's so many different forms of racing, and somebody might be seeing me do like stock cars, but that might not be accessible to them for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just because you don't have that kind of racetrack near you. So I always tell people, go to whatever local racetrack you have or closest racetrack or whatever you can get into, so that there's so many different kinds of cars. There's midgets, which I started off in. I didn't start off in stock cars. So sometimes it's like, or go-karts, like there's so many go-kart tracks. So there's so many different cars and tracks that you can get started in and just get your foot in the door by doing that. I think you just have to get started and go for it in whatever way you can.
Just do it, as they
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
All right, I saw some questions coming in, so if you have questions, we're going to get to them later. Submit them now, but keep them coming in. That was just a PSA to anybody who has questions for Toni. So my next question too has to do with safety, which I could only imagine. I didn't really think I had any type of a phobia until I like imagined myself in a vehicle going hundreds of miles an hour, and that just freaks me out. I would have to imagine that physical fitness, mental fitness plays a big part in safety. Do you have a certain routine just to, help keep your sharpness on the track?
Yeah, so obviously right now I'm not training with my personal trainer, but when I am doing that, we work on like depth perception and like reaction timing, just so you can make sure you can react, super fast during moments. And we'll do that when my heart rate is really high. So he'll be like, okay, let's go do some cardio. Now let's do some reaction training. Because like when you're in the car, it's not like you're just sitting there and you have to react really fast. Like you're already tired, you're exhausted, it's hot, you have your spotter talking to you. So there's already so many different things going on, and you still have to be able to react fast and react correctly and accurately. So we definitely do try to train for that.
So the next question then is, because this is a great question from participant Kayla 11 at Girls in the Game, is how are you staying healthy and active while staying at home?
Yeah, so it is kind of difficult to change my training routine, but luckily I have like sidewalks here in a good area to kind of run around in. So I've been doing that for my cardio. I have workout bands and some weights to help with that strength training. And I also have a simulator that I use for kind of like reaction training and just to stay behind the wheel. It's this like whole racing simulator that I have. So that's like the closest I can. Yeah.
Is it set up right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we get a tour?
Yeah, I can show you guys. I actually.
No judgment I know you're moving in, so if there's boxes, no judgment.
Okay. Yeah, my sister's like living in here, but this is my iRacing simulator that I have set up. And it's pretty realistic. Like a lot of people ask, like the tracks. Really cool. Like the tracks, I'm pretty sure they scan the tracks. So like they're so similar. So it's pretty crazy. So this is definitely, it's not the same, but it's definitely good training, for sure.
So is it pedals, wheel, like clutch, the whole thing?
Yeah, exactly. So we have the pedals, we have a shifter, the wheels, everything. So it's a pretty cool setup for sure.
That is really cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a setup like that. maybe I could race you virtually.
Yes, it's actually so fun. You can race against other people, and I love it. Like I think it's so fun. Like I'll just be on there for hours, and I'll just be like, oh my gosh, like there's hours I've just passed by. It's addicting.
All right, if you see a handle sports baby, that's gonna be me. I'll race you virtually. First, I need to get the setup. So if you're not on the track and you're training virtually, my question for you is, do you just ever get an urge to like floor it on the normal streets, knowing like just to get it out of you at this point?
Honestly, like I'm proud of myself. I'm a really safe driver. I've only ever gotten one ticket, and it was honestly like so accidental. It was like the most stupid thing. So I'm pretty safe like on the street. Like I never really get that urge. Like I feel like the only time that I'll catch myself like speeding a little bit is like after I'm at the racetrack, just because you've been going so fast all day. Like you feel so slow once you get on like the normal street. But I'm really like I'm pretty good about being safe on the street and just kind of staying in control.
That's like a chef when they come home from cooking all day and end up making cereal for themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. See, I can picture myself like getting to a red light and being like it's go time. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like when people, well, nobody really tries to race me because I have like, I guess like an SUV. But when I was back home, my mom has like a little BMW, and like sometimes people will try to race me. I'm like, you guys don't even know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so this is getting back to business here. We have Dawn, who is the developmental director at Girls in the Game. And this is a good question, talking about the fact that you're probably going to begin racing within the next week or so. Her question is, can you talk a little bit about the type of training that goes into getting ready for a race season?
Yeah, so definitely like before all of this, I was training with my trainer pretty much every day, doing physical fitness, reaction training, even neck training, which like a lot of people don't really think of, that we train our necks too. So I think like that's, you know, the biggest thing is mental and physical training. I also look back on racing videos. I'll put a GoPro in my car and I can kind of study, especially if I've been to track before, I'll try to look at videos for like when that race is going to come up. And I also have notes and everything like that I take. So there's definitely different ways to prepare.
When you watch film, that's really interesting because obviously watching film of yourself is so important. Do you watch film of other racers to, like, not only competitors, but maybe racers that you want to drive like, or?
I definitely do. I don't think I particularly look at somebody's driving style because I feel like once you're in the car, there's so much going on. You can't really be like, oh, I want to try to drive like this person. You just kind of have to do your thing. But I definitely look at the line. And that's kind of like the biggest thing. If I'm going to like a new track, I'll just kind of like, even just like look on YouTube, like different races at that track and just kind of take notes based off of that.
Yeah, I'm assuming like visualization, so much visualization has to go into preparing.
Yeah.
Right? Just getting the curves, getting the turns right. All right, I'm making my notes as to how to beat you one day. I know. I'm just taking notes on the side. Okay, so we have some questions coming in from our viewers at home, and I'm going to start with that. And if you have questions, you can submit them now. The first one is, what do you have as a favorite piece of advice that you've learned?
Favorite piece of advice? Probably like, honestly, like this is like, I feel like everyone kind of says this, it's just like not overthink, to just do it. So I feel like with racing, you can't, like, if you like are just like sitting behind someone thinking about making a pass, well, the person behind you is going to pass you. So you just kind of have to go for it and almost just like not think. So I think, and also like that, like in life, to not overthink. I feel like I overthink everything. So I think like the biggest thing is just don't overthink it, go for it. Because I feel like before I kind of clicked in my head how to win races, I felt like I was overthinking it, like thinking like, oh, I want to win, but then I kind of changed it to just doing it. Like, this is what I have to do to win, not just like thinking about like, oh, I really want to win. It's like, well, I have to make it happen. I have to do it on the track. So yeah.
I saw one come in. I love that, actually. That's a piece of advice that I could probably use these days as well.
Yes, I feel like everyone can use that. It's hard to kind of apply it. It's like easy to say like, oh, don't overthink, but it is important.
Sometimes I overthink about overthinking. So
I know, it's like a cycle. It's terrible.
I've got that going for me right now. The next question that came in was, are you planning to race anytime in Miami? And I have another one after that.
Ooh, honestly, like, I hopefully like in the winter, I want to like go down to Florida because I think their season probably lasts a little bit longer, especially with everything getting pushed back. I still have races that got canceled that haven't been rescheduled yet. So I'm like, I still want to get that full schedule in. Yeah. So I might make it down to Florida.
Okay. Miami's not a bad place to race at all.
I would love that, honestly.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And then the next question was, how do you compete against people who are also your peers?
Honestly, like, I don't, like, when I'm at the racetrack, like, people will be like, oh, like, a lot of people think I'm like shy because like I just like don't go around like talking to other people. Like I really don't, like, to me everybody's a competitor. I don't go to the racetrack to like make friends. Like, it sounds mean, but like it's true. Like I don't really have, like, I don't know, like once you're at the racetrack, like mentality changes. You have to kind of like flip a switch in your head, and nobody's your friend out there. Nobody's really like your peer unless they're like your teammate. You kind of give them a little bit there, but yeah,
you're zoned in.
Yes, exactly. Like, you just have to change your mindset entirely.
Okay, I see two more questions, and then we're going to switch to people who are watching. We're doing a fitness challenge as well after this. So,
Yes.
well, okay, I see three more, and maybe we'll take one more because I'll remember them in this order. What taught you the most about racecraft and car control?
Ooh, I think racecraft, definitely go-karts, because I did that for 7 years, and that's kind of where I think is like the best place to kind of develop your racecraft and like really learn the fundamentals. Because like no matter what car you go into, the fundamentals are always going to be the same pretty much. So definitely, I feel like go-karts taught me that. In car control, I have to say probably the USAC Silver Crown car that I drive, just because those cars are so light and they have so much horsepower. So you just have to like you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to step on the gas. You have to really be able to like control the car and your throttle and everything like that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Another question, are you ever coming to Europe?
Ooh, I would love to. I have family in Europe, so I'm always like, when I went out there last time, it was just a family trip, but I would love to race out there sometime.
Do you ever name your cars? I love that question. Have you named your cars?
No, I don't. Like, I don't even, like, my sister's, I know she named, like, her personal car, but no, like, I don't name my cars. I feel kind of bad that I don't name them.
Yeah, maybe 2020 will be the year.
I know. I need to come up with a good one.
All right, so we're gonna switch to a physical fitness activity right now. What you've been doing at home to help inspire girls. One final question for you, because I'm actually really curious. I saw you in. How fast do you typically drive?
Like on the track or on the street?
No, on the track. You drive legally on the street.
Yeah.
That's your,
like the
that's
speed
your,
limit.
yes. That's your PR statement.
I'd say like it honestly depends on the track, because like obviously if you go to a track that's like a quarter mile versus a half mile, you're gonna go faster on the half mile. Yeah. But I think definitely like at least around 100, like on average. The fastest I've gone is like 180 on a mile track. So honestly, it depends on the track that you go to, what car you're in. So yeah.
All right, well, I'll be meeting on the virtual reality track. That's we'll have our races. All right, so I'm transitioning to my wonderful workout room, which is
awesome.
14 steps in my apartment. And this last section here is honestly for viewers at home to help inspire ways to stay active in quarantine. So this is up to you, and I'm just gonna try and keep up with whatever that is.
I'm having my sister hold the phone for me. So
my sister.
She's so sorry. So what I like to do is like obviously like I don't have that much gym equipment here, so I've been trying to find ways that I can like work out and still be strong without a bunch of equipment. And I honestly love wall sits, because this is like such like a similar position that I sit in one of my race cars. Like I literally sit in like a 90-degree angle. So I was like, well, we can try to do a 2-minute wall sit.
Wait, did you say 2-minute wall sit?
Yeah, should you want me to do it for less?
No, that's fine. I'm just gonna have a lot of people laughing at me at home. Right, here we go. You're keeping track.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I need to make sure you're not sitting on a chair right now.
I swear I'm not any of the camera now.
Sister, can you make sure? Thank you.
Candy, when it says 4, let me know.
Okay.
Is there any? So your knees are together. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of have them like hip width. Yeah.
How many 2-minute wall squats do you do per day?
Honestly, depends on like what I'm doing. Like I usually mix it up with other workouts. So if I'm gonna go do like leg workouts before this, but definitely like I try to go for at least a minute.
Okay, just keep talking to me because my legs are already. What's your favorite color?
Honestly, maybe like red. I feel like red's like a good color. It's bold.
What's your favorite song right now?
What was that?
Your favorite song?
My favorite song? What was it?
That's 4.
4?
Yeah.
Has been 2 minutes. It's only been like a minute, I think.
I don't know.
How many seconds are we to go? I'm gonna collapse.
So I think we have like 30 seconds left about. We kind of lost track of the timer. But honestly, we're almost done.
We do a 10-minute countdown.
Yeah.
10-second countdown.
10-second countdown? Okay.
Yes.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See, those are like, I like those because you don't really have to move. You just kind of sit there. You're like, just stay put, appreciate the burn.
Okay, appreciate the burn is
Appreciate the
not
burn.
where I'm at right now. I feel the burn.
Yeah.
The appreciation will come in later.
Later, yeah.
Thank you so much for being today's guest and
Yes,
Women's
thank
Sports
you for having
Foundation
me.
Athlete Ambassador. You're so amazing. We really look forward to seeing you back on the track.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
It was fun. We'll do it again. Don't worry. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.